scan short videos and project them to Wanjie. Tom is the most versatile person in the world, there is nothing he cannot do, he is omnipotent, and he is skilled in everything, the smartest inventor, the greatest artist, with a body that is constantly changing, an immortal body, the ability to switch forms at any time, the ability to possess superpowers, and the strongest body. Iron Man Stark. My invention ability is not as good as a cat. This Nima is too outrageous. Do you know who the most powerful wolf in the world is? Countless great inventions, especially those that love their wives, possess a tenacious and terrifying will, and the only thing they are not good at is catching sheep. Bald Qiang. How do I feel like this grey wolf is very similar to me? Is everything top-notch except for my job performance? The underworld king, the villain who cannot be defeated or spoken of. Qiyu. Can he be considered a villain? It's not good at all, okay. Is it really amazing? Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Is there such a good thing in Chapter 001? Seeking fresh flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiang Chen, lying on the sofa, crossed his legs and couldn't help feeling a little emotional. The current big data is really impressive. I just clicked on a few videos before, but now all the videos I see are of the same type. My phone even knows more about what I want than I do myself. Just now, Jiang Chen finished his paper and wanted to relax, so he found a fan drama. No. To be precise, it is a dinner anime. Cats and Mice. Who knew that after watching only 2 episodes, when he was watching the short video again, he kept pushing the famous scenes of Tom Cat. Even on top of Mojuoduo, they started pushing Tom's cat figurines to him. Jiang Chen didn't like the feeling of being bound by big data, so he put his phone aside. While thinking about what to do next to pass the time, a cold mechanical sound suddenly came to my mind. Congratulations to the host for successfully binding to the Wanjie short video system and becoming the lucky one selected by this system. Jiang Chen couldn't help complaining about this system. Do you think I'm in a novel? He rolled over and prepared to take a nap, but to his surprise, the sound in his mind still lingered. Host, next you only need to swipe a short video to receive the corresponding cash reward. There is such a good thing. Isn't that just a joke? You can make money by watching short videos. So if he brushes black all day, isn't he going to make a lot of money? Originally, Jiang Chen didn't want to try and planned to lie on the sofa and sleep for a while. But who could have imagined that the sound of the system in their minds was still repeating? The host only needs to swipe another short video to receive corresponding rewards. Hearing the sound without any signs of stopping, Jiang Chen felt a bit curious and eventually sat up from the sofa. Anyway, hitting children on rainy days is also idle. Why don't we just brush and see the effect first? He took out his phone and instinctively flashed it again. After a moment, the prompt sound of a text message suddenly came. After opening it, it was found that it was the information of the bank card. Dear customer, with the last digit of XXX, your card creation has received 5,000 yuan. Jiang Chen couldn't help but be clever and suddenly sat up from the bed. Lying trough. How could there be such a good thing in the world? Isn't it? Surprisingly, they can really make money. And it costs thousands to watch a short video. If he brushes hundreds or thousands of items a day, wouldn't he be able to achieve financial freedom in minutes? Whoever has money to earn still needs rest. The world is vast, making the most money. Tom Cat World. Tom. A fat woman with only half of her body exposed tightly clenched her fist, her eyes filled with anger. He glared fiercely at Tom Cat and said, I hope you tell me, I've been raising you for so long, why are there still mice at home? What's the point of not being able to handle such a small matter well? Standing in front of the hostess, Tom smiled awkwardly and touched his head with his hand. I don't know how to answer his question. Jerry, who was staying inside the mouse hole, couldn't help but laugh when he saw the scene in front of him. Cover your mouth with your hand, with excitement on your face. I have to remind you again. The hostess was a bit angry and said, if you're like this again, then I'll ask you to leave my house as soon as possible. I don't need a cat that can't even catch mice, do you understand? Tom nodded quite forcefully. Seeing this scene, the hostess was about to enter when suddenly a bright light came from above her head, appearing particularly dazzling. The attention of both the hostess and Jerry was simultaneously drawn to them. Their gaze fell, filled with amazement. The hostess touched her chin and said, "What is this?" "Doraemon's world. Big Bear." Doraemon touched her head and said, "Shizuka called you out, why don't you go out? You've always wanted to go hiking with him in the suburbs, haven't you?" Big Bear propped his head with his hands and said, "I also really want to go out, but Fat Tiger told me before that he wouldn't allow me to have private contact with Shizuka, otherwise he would make me look good. You don't know that guy, he's tall and imposing, I'm not a match at all." Upon hearing these words, there was a strong sense of helplessness in his eyes. Doraemon suddenly became excited and ran to the door, pointing his right hand to his head. Big Bear, come and take a look." The big bear was curious and came behind Doraemon. The sight that caught his eye surprised him a bit. The world of ever-changing beasts. Thunderbolt Fire stands in the City of Energy, watching the darkness below surge like a tide, with an endless army of Black Panther beasts at a glance. For the first time, a look of fear appeared in his eyes. The enemy they are facing is really too strong. Powered to the point of Thunderbolt Fire, I have no idea if I am confident that I can survive this major crisis in the Energy City. Thunderbolt Fire. Lolo's voice rang in his ears. He looked up and said, "Don't worry, we will definitely find a way to get through this crisis." "I hope so." Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 002. This is really a genius. Seeking Flower Reviews. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Obviously, Thunderbolt Fire was somewhat unwilling to believe what Luo had just said. Because the Tiger King we are facing this time is indeed very terrifying in terms of tactics. As one of the three great war kings of the Beast clan, he not only has strong strength, but also is resourceful and cunning. He has been besieging the Energy City for several months now. The motorcycle warriors are already exhausted. He doesn't know if he can handle it or not. Thunderbolt Fire, look at it. Luo's eyes were filled with a hint of amazement, and he quickly extended his fingers to the sky above his head. Thunderbolt's gaze followed the direction of Luo's fingers. The sight that caught his eye also surprised him a bit. The world of Pleasant Goat and Big Wolf. Grey Wolf. The Red Wolf, holding a frying pan, burned with anger in his eyes as he gradually pushed towards the Grey Wolf, his face particularly gloomy. "Tell me quickly, why didn't you catch the sheep again?" Grey Wolf awkwardly smiled and quickly said to his wife, "Wife, listen to me first. It's all because those little lambs are too cunning, I really can't do anything about it." "Shut up." Red Wolf was very angry and said, "It's okay if you can't catch the sheep. You're still making excuses in front of me. I will never spare you." She held the frying pan high in her hand and was about to throw it fiercely at Grey Wolf. At this moment, the originally boundless deep night suddenly shimmered with bright light, appearing particularly dazzling. Let Red Wolf be a bit afraid to look directly at. She instinctively turned her head to one side. Mom, what is that?" Standing next to the Red Wolf, Little Grey reached out his right hand and pointed to the sky above his head, his heart filled with curiosity. The attention of a family of three was drawn to them. Village Chief. The slow sheep, who was conducting experiments in the laboratory, suddenly heard an urgent knocking on the door from outside. Then came the sound of pleasant goat. Slow Sheep frowned slightly, with a hint of displeasure in his eyes, and walked out slowly. Happy Sheep. Slow Sheep couldn't help but say, "Didn't I tell you before? Don't come over and disturb me when I'm doing experiments. The things I am currently researching are very important, and they can be used to resist the grey wolf in the future. How can you be? Come out and take a look." Happy Sheep, who usually behaves obediently in front of Slow Sheep, grabbed him with one hand, and after a moment, the two of them ran out of it. The original deep night was shining brightly with dazzling light. A world full of bears. A bald person sitting on a lounge chair feels quite happy. I picked up the cola placed on the table and took a sip. I don't have to go to work today, but I can take a good rest. Damn Boss Lee, he doesn't pay his salary. He didn't even have the money to buy new clothes this month. That's really excessive. Strong bald, strong bald. The sound in his ear startled the bald man, and he suddenly jumped off the lounge chair, watching the forest with considerable vigilance. It seems like Qiang and Qiang. It's these two guys who repeatedly stop themselves from chopping wood. If it weren't for their bald strength, how could they have been so miserable under Mr. Lee's command? These two stinky bears are really annoying. What are you doing here? Bald Qiang was very vigilant and said, "Stinky bear, I didn't go to chop down the tree today. Do you still want to? Don't misunderstand me." Before Bald Qiang could finish speaking, Qiang and Qiang quickly ran over. "Quickly hand him the honey he has prepared. We found very sweet honey today and came specifically to give you some. You are our best friend." Upon hearing these words, there was a hint of caution in his eyes. Baldy couldn't help but say, "Are you too sure you didn't prank me? As long as you don't cut down the trees, we are the best friends. Why bother with you?" As several people were speaking, the bright light in the air suddenly caught their attention. At the same time, many worlds have seen the same scene, a huge screen, bright and dazzling, like the sun, hanging in the air. Then, on the huge screen, a row of black characters appeared. Tom's 7 great achievements, the smartest and greatest inventor. The world of Jackie Chan's adventures. Uncle Long, Uncle Long. Xiaoyu raised her head and blinked her eyes, looking at Jackie Chan with great curiosity. She said with some confusion, "Do you know who this person named Tom is?" Opening his palm, Jackie Chan shook his head. "I've heard of it for the first time, but isn't this the greatest inventor saying too much?" Xiaoyu also nodded along. Dad Zhou frowned and said, "Look at this title, it's about one of his 7 great achievements. It seems that this person named Tom is really not easy. That is to say, his achievements in the other 6 aspects can at least be tied with his identity as an inventor, which is quite not easy." Marvel World. Stark. Standing in front of the French window, the U.S. team raised its head, looked up at the sky and said, "Do you think this man named Tom can invent something comparable to you?" "Sorry." Stark spread out his palm and said, "You know, I have no match in this area. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 003. I have almost no opponents. Seeking fresh flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Regarding one's technological achievements and career progress. Stark is quite confident. When his Iron War armor was first introduced, it caused an extremely huge sensation throughout the entire Star Trek kingdom. His steel armor is definitely leading the technological trend of the entire world. The person named Tom is just sensationalizing. How could it possibly match him? That's not necessarily true. Thor, carrying a hammer, came to Stark's side. He took a sip of his wine and said, "I don't think this thing is joking. Let's wait and see. Perhaps in other aspects, Stark may not necessarily have confidence and can be compared. But he doesn't believe in technology research and invention alone. Who can match him? Confused teacher. Upon seeing the headline in the air, Piggy Man was somewhat surprised and said, I feel like this person named Tom is really impressive. Do you think you can match the smartest inventor? Glancing at the Piggy Man in a daze, he realized that this guy really can't handle any pot without opening it. His greatest expertise is academic research, and as for scientific inventions, he occasionally produces impressive works. But ultimately, it is not his proudest existence. So confused and did not directly answer this question. He shook his head and said, let's continue reading. I'm curious about what this person named Tom can invent. How could you give him such a high evaluation? Tom once built a human rocket within a day, successfully flying to the moon at a speed close to the speed of light, taking less than 6 seconds to make a round trip to the moon Doraemon's world. Upon seeing this scene, the big bear dumbfounded and widened its mouth, its eyes filled with shock. It is obvious that the text appearing in the air has brought him great excitement. Build a manned rocket in 1 day. Sleeping slot. Is this ability too impressive? It's simply not scientific. It is particularly difficult for rockets to carry people themselves. Many scientists have invested a lot of time and effort in this area, only to barely succeed in their research. The most important thing is that they all need a lot of assistance from others in order to barely make people in rockets. As for the required time, it will take at least a few years. As a result, this incredible talent named Tom only took 1 day. We successfully built a rocket that was close to the speed of light. What is this concept? I can't believe it. His ability is too incredible, isn't it? Doraemon is also quite knowledgeable, but seeing this scene is indeed somewhat foolish. A rocket that can travel close to the speed of light is already exceptionally powerful. What surprised Doraemon even more was that he didn't need anyone else's assistance, he could do it alone. It's incredibly powerful. Doraemon. Big Bear couldn't help but ask, can you tell me what it means to build a rocket alone in 1 day? It means he's likely the most amazing inventor I've ever seen, or even heard of. Is this so strong? The Big Bear was completely shocked at this moment. Doraemon is definitely knowledgeable and has encountered many powerful people. Even he said so, which shows the other party is really impressive. Stark Industrial Hall. Thunderobot and Team USA standing in front of the French window turned to look at Stark. Stark, who was drinking, was stiff and couldn't say a word for a long time. His pupils contracted slightly, and his heart turned upside down. I don't know how long it took before he jumped off the chair and slowly walked forward. Looking up at the sky above. The bright and bold characters are so dazzling. Stark. Thor couldn't help but say, do you think you can do it? To build a manned rocket in 1 day, the most important thing is to be able to approach the speed of light. Not scientific, this is definitely not scientific. Every time Stark studies a new steel armor, it takes at least several years of preparation before it can be updated and iterated. And during this period, he also needs his own intelligent butler to assist from the sidelines. But that person named Tom actually managed to do it in just 1 day. How smart is his brain really? Thor and the US team are not particularly familiar with inventions and creations. So they completely cannot understand how high the difficulty it contains. But Stark is different. He is very clear about what kind of intelligence and wisdom there is to achieve this. Where is this person named Tom? Stark couldn't help but say, I really want to see him now. Why are you in such a hurry? Let's take a look first. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 004. Is really amazing. Seeking flower reviews. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The City of Time. Thunderbolt Fire clenched its fist, its pupils contracted, and its eyes shimmered with bright light. He looked at Lolo with some excitement. Lolo, what is the concept of being able to approach the speed of light? Luoluo touched his chin and said, a very terrifying concept. If we can reach this speed, we can easily break through the encirclement of the Black Panther. Really? Thunderbolt Fire happily said, can we find this person named Tom? Let him help us then. I feel like he's very smart. Luoluo helplessly spread out his palm. I don't even know who this person named Tom is. How do you think he can help? Thunderbolt Fire let out a sigh. It would be exciting to have such a smart mind if I could really get the other person to help me. Will he still need to be afraid of the Tiger King then? This day. Tom is watching a TV drama, completely focused, lying on the sofa humming a tune. Jerry was sleeping inside the mouse hole when he was awakened by the sound of the radio outside, so he came to the entrance to check. The images presented in the air once again stunned all the world. Strange world. Wait a minute. Zhang Chulan looked at the sky above her head with one big eye and two big eyes, very confused. I was completely dumbfounded. With a puzzled expression in his eyes, he said, is it true that this guy named Tom is not a human at all, but a cat? Hiss, he couldn't help but take a cold breath. I was surprised and couldn't speak. A cat successfully developed a rocket in just one day. And the speed is close to the speed of light. Anyway, it feels absurd. He suddenly felt a strong sense of defeat. Special to some extent, he can be considered a small intelligent genius. However, compared to this cat, that is indeed a matter of minutes and seconds. Isn't it too strong? A world with strong bald heads. Lying trough. The bald man who was drinking water was strong, and everything in his mouth sprayed out. Staring blankly at the sky above, stunned by this scene, unable to speak. Within a day, a manned rocket was built at a speed close to the speed of light, and each achievement was very impressive for bald head Qiang. What is even more unimaginable for bald men is, it is not individuals who have achieved all of this. It's actually a cat. It's a cat. Is it a cat? Strong bald head. Xiongda also didn't understand and said, you said they are all animals, why is the difference so big? How do I know? Guobao's special attack on the world. Can a cat invent rockets, walk while standing, and talk? Isn't this a bit outrageous? Orange Liuxiang couldn't help but marvel at this scene. Standing next to him, Lu Xiaogua said, it's not outrageous. I don't think it's important. What's important is that they can't eat fruits. Pineapple blowing snow feels a bit confused. He looked at Lu Xiaogua and said, can you have some common sense? When did you see cats and mice and become interested in our fruits? Upon hearing what the other party said, Lu Xiaogua also felt that what he was saying made sense. I think you're right. Uncle Long. Xiaoyu was quite surprised and looked at Tom's cat's eyes shining in the air. I want this cat to be a pet. Upon arriving at Jackie Chan's side, Xiaoyu said, think about this cat being able to stand up and talk, and most importantly, it's very intelligent. It can quickly develop a rocket. Uncle Long, can you go and catch him? Jackie Chan held his forehead with his hand and a bitter smile appeared on his face. Xiaoyu, did you make things a bit difficult for me? Where can I find this cat? And look at how amazing he is. Even if I find him, he may not be willing to be your pet. Marvel World. Boom. Stark was completely bewildered. He stood in front of the French window, and the whole person almost forgot to breathe. The stimulation he just received was too strong, making him completely unable to react. Did you make a mistake? The other party originally possessed such incredible wisdom. In one day, it was found that the speed of manned rockets is close to the speed of light. Let him be amazed in his heart. More importantly, mad. He is not alone at all, he is a cat. Can there be anything more outrageous than this in the world? Both the American team and Thor have become very serious now. I don't even have the mood to tease Stark anymore. This is really terrifying. If a cat really has any bad ideas about possessing such incredible abilities, I'm afraid the entire Avengers Alliance will come out together, and it will be difficult to take him down. What's going on with this cat called Tom? Jarvis. Stark quickly said, quickly investigate for me the origin of this cat called Tom, and will its existence pose a threat to human safety? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 005. Stark is completely dumbfounded. Seeking freshness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thor and the US team can't laugh now. Previously, the two of them didn't say anything on the surface, but they had no doubts about Stark's scientific research ability. It is said that he is on par with the gods as a mortal. Relying on a unique and unparalleled high-tech that makes many people feel inferior. Especially steel armor, it is the core that can gather the world's top technology. But even so, it can only reach the speed of sound at most. Approaching the speed of light is almost unimaginable. But the rocket developed by Tom can achieve this. More importantly, he used a very short amount of time. That's just a cat. What exactly is his brain structure like? Such terrifying intelligence. If one day he does something that endangers humanity, who can stop him? We must figure out where he is now. They want everything to be within their controllable range. After receiving Iron Man's instructions, Jarvis began a high-speed search. After about 3 seconds, Jarvis's voice rang out. Dear Mr. Stark, I apologize for not investigating everything related to this cat. Suddenly, the room fell silent. The expressions of the three were particularly serious. They looked at each other with a strong sense of surprise in their eyes. Jarvis is currently the most advanced, powerful, and fastest-running computer in the world. Any message can be searched for in a short period of time. But only did not receive anything related to Tom's cat. I understand. Stark frowned and said, this cat named Tom probably doesn't belong to our universe. What do you mean? The American team hesitated for a moment and asked, parallel universes really exist? Only this explanation. Upon hearing this news, the three of them breathed a sigh of relief. After all, a cat with such terrifying abilities is indeed quite terrifying. Creating a rocket in such a short amount of time can directly approach the speed of light. I'm afraid that currently in their world, there is no technology enthusiast that can be compared to them. Stark paused for a moment and said, you know, under what circumstances did this cat named Tom unleash its infinite potential? Will we ultimately create a rocket that can approach the speed of light and land on the moon? The US team hesitated for a moment and said, could it be because he encountered a huge crisis and had to leave Earth in a short period of time, that's why? This explanation is very likely. Any species has the potential to fully unleash its potential in extremely dangerous situations. Perhaps Tom is facing a huge crisis. If he doesn't develop a rocket and leaves Earth quickly, he will be completely destroyed. That's why we directly broke through the limits of technology in such a short period of time. Let the speed of the rocket approach the speed of light. But even so, it's really amazing. The key issue is this just one of Tom's achievements? What are his remaining achievements? I dare not think, really dare not think. The image on the huge screen continues to play. Tom, who had been watching TV for a while, suddenly heard the radio inside saying that if anyone could become the first person to land on the moon, the country would reward him with unlimited money. Sitting on the sofa, Tom suddenly thought of the little kitten he had recently broken up with. If he could get unlimited money, he could live a happy and joyful life with it. So he immediately jumped off the sofa and decided to develop a rocket to land directly on the moon. Jerry, who was staying in the corner, seemed to have sensed Tom's motives. He was also curious about the moon and wanted to follow and take a look. So he secretly observed Tom's every move. Strange world. Zhang Chulon was dumbfounded. No, isn't it? He couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Like Stark and others, Zhang Chulon had previously speculated on under what circumstances Tom had directly broken through the limits of human technology and developed rockets that could approach the speed of light. He also brainstormed many reasons. For example, encountering a huge crisis and having to quickly leave the Earth. Or perhaps he suffered some heavy blow that fully unleashed Tom's potential. But he never expected that the reason why Tom wants to land on the moon is simply for a little kitten. Sleeping slot. Is it that simple for him to break through the limits of technology? Guobao world. Pear Blossom Poetry couldn't help but sigh. The power of love is really great, it can even allow a man to directly break through the ultimate technology. Indeed, men conquer the world, women conquer men. The pineapple nearby blew snow and couldn't help roast. What man, he's just a cat, okay. Marvel World. Stark. Dot. Team USA. Dot. Thor. Dot. At this moment, they suddenly felt a thunderous impact on their values. I am completely confused. Worry. Can it be any further outrageous? For Stark, it is quite difficult to further increase the speed of steel armor based on this foundation. Not to mention approaching the speed of light, it took him years of hard work to reach 3 times the speed of sound. But that cat, just to get money, wants to be with a little mother cat. A rocket that can directly approach the speed of light has been developed. Can it be any further outrageous? For Stark, this blow is indeed too big for some wives. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 006. The Decision of Boiling Sheep. Seeking Flower Reviews. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thunder roared outside. It rained heavily. Iron Man, Team USA, and Thor, all 3 of them have mixed emotions. What is the concept of approaching the speed of light? In theory, as long as we reach the speed of light, we can surpass time and fully shuttle through time and space. However, with the current level of human science, it is difficult to reach the speed of light. Even the bully, like Stark, is helpless in this regard. When he first developed the first set of steel armor, he also used it for several months. More importantly, when he was studying this suit of armor, he experienced significant changes in his life, which also changed his previous playboy personality. It can be considered as driving out all his potential. Finally, Iron Man emerged with great success. Don't you, Tom Cat, have a particularly strong motivation to create something so amazing? Just for the sake of money. Chase another little kitten. I'll strangle it. You gave me such amazing skills, I'll give you as much money as you want, and I'll find you as many female cats as you want. It's a bit of a waste. The US team hesitated for a moment and said, Stark, don't be too discouraged for now. Let's take a look before we talk. Perhaps that's just an exaggerated description, maybe this cat isn't that strong. Stark stopped talking. He suddenly felt his pride shattered to the ground. The world of pigs. Confused teacher. What is the concept of infinitely approaching the speed of light, said the little pig, looking at it in a daze and touching its head with its hand. Anyway, it's very impressive. The hazy expression was rare and serious. He hugged his hands in front of his chest and said, this cat is really a cat of temperament. Just because of this little mother cat, she wants to land on the moon and make a rocket. It really surprised me. Now his intelligence and talent are on par with what I had at my peak. Upon hearing this, the little pig shook its head. He looked at the confused teacher and said, "Let me tell you, confused teacher. Do you know what is most important to be a pig? What does it mean?" "Of course it's a face, but I feel like you obviously don't want it," said the little pig with a smile. "Are you doubting my ability?" Opening his palm, the little pig shrugged its shoulders. The meaning seems to be that there is no need to doubt the ability of a confused teacher. Because he doesn't have much at all. Looking at the aerial projection, Mei Yangyang's heart was moved. "Oh my goodness!" he exclaimed, "this cat named Tom is so touching. I never thought it could create such a great invention just for love. Amazing, really amazing. Is this the power of love?" The boiling sheep standing next to the beautiful sheep's eyes lit up upon hearing these words. Beautiful sheep, beautiful sheep. Boiling sheep stood in front of him, smiling shyly with a slight blush, as if embarrassed to say, "I can also do many impossible things for you. I can also land on the moon." Mei Yangyang glanced at Boiling Yangyang and pursed her lips, saying, "Boiling Yangyang, I think you still have it. Do you know what the concept of approaching the speed of light is? How could you possibly develop such a powerful rocket if you haven't passed your math exams before?" Just now, Mei Yangyang's words made Boiling Yangyang feel a great blow. His body trembled slightly and he said, "Beautiful sheep, believe me, I can do it too. I will prove to you that I am more devoted to you than the cat named Tom is to the kitten." As he spoke, he clenched his fist and turned to leave as if he had made a great decision. Looking at the back of the boiling sheep, lazily supporting his forehead, he let out a sigh of resentment. "I really don't understand what boiling sheep thinks. Don't even sheep don't like you, why must you have a hot face and a cold buttocks? Isn't that quite boring?" The Adventures of Lolo World. The Tyrannosaurus Rex lifted his head and looked up at the sky above, his eyes filled with a strong sense of astonishment. After a long time, the Tyrannosaurus Rex said, "How could a small cat cause such a big commotion? What do you understand?" Surprisingly, a woman's voice could be heard inside his body. After a moment, a little girl about 11 or 12 years old slowly flew out of the body of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. "It is the mech king of their beast race." The girl Jingjing looked serious and said, "Tyrannosaurus Rex, a cat with such wisdom can easily destroy the entire beast clan army." The body of the Tyrannosaurus Rex stiffened slightly. He couldn't believe it and said, "The entire beast clan unit, are you referring to?" "Not bad," Jingjing replied, "I'm talking about all the troops, including the Tiger King and the Wild Scarlet." She, who has traveled through time, understands very well that approaching the speed of light infinitely is such a stunning achievement. It is not an exaggeration to say that it has definitely crossed the century and is ahead of the entire era. The Tyrannosaurus Rex took a cold breath. How could a cat have such terrifying abilities? This isn't it too powerful? It's just a bit outrageous. So, we must take the lead, and if I hadn't guessed the people of the motorcycle race wrong, I would have anticipated this as well. They will definitely find a way to find this cat before us and get his help. So what you mean is? Jingjing hugged her chest with both hands and said, "What I mean is to take the lead and find that cat earlier than the motorcycle crew. P.S. Looking for data, do you have flower evaluation tickets? If there are some, it will be even more explosive. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 007. Hand-drawn rocket drawing. Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qingqing Grassland World. The cousin of Grey Wolf, Yi Wolf, looked at the huge screen suspended in mid-air and touched his chin with his hand, feeling extremely emotional in his heart. This cat is a bit amazing. Yi Tailang said, "If I could invent something as powerful as him, wouldn't it take minutes to catch sheep in the sheep village?" Cousin. Grey Wolf spread out his palm and said, I think you underestimated the sheep in the flock too much. The thing I invented is even more powerful than that cat. Didn't you still not catch the sheep now? What are you saying? The Night Wolf and the Wizard Wolf all looked at the Grey Wolf as they heard these words. Obviously, I don't believe what he said. Grey Wolf. Yi Tailang couldn't help but say, can I tell you not to puff up your face and make yourself fat in front of us? Can you invent such a powerful thing? The magical inventions of Grey Wolf on weekdays are completely applied to the little lambs. Cousin Yi Tailang and others had no chance to see it. So, in the eyes of Grey Wolf, it's normal for them to have the same feeling as before. This thing is not very difficult. Grey Wolf said seriously, I think as long as you give me 10.5 days and a month, I can easily make things that surpass him. You can just brag. They glanced at Grey Wolf with a look of disdain in their eyes. In their eyes, Grey Wolf is simply bragging. Super Beast Armed World. A strong and burly body stands tall at the entrance of the palace, wearing a black cloak that rustles fiercely in the wind. The black armor is incredibly sturdy. Looking up at the sky, a smile appeared on the corner of the Hades King's mouth. It's a bit interesting. The Underworld King smiled lightly and said, this cat is quite interesting. The Lion King replied, no matter how smart he is ultimately just a cat. The Underworld King was not speaking, but there was a hint of appreciation in his eyes. After making up his mind to develop a rocket, Tom quickly took out a piece of white paper, hung it on the wall, and then took out a pen to draw a rocket model and related production steps. Jerry stood at the entrance of the mouse hole, watching Tom's every move with anticipation in his heart. Obviously, Jerry also really hopes to go to the moon with Tom. Stark was even more bewildered when he saw this scene. He rubbed his eyes and repeatedly confirmed that what he had just seen was not an illusion. Thor and the US team both feel a bit incomprehensible about Stark's performance just now. What is he doing? What's wrong with you, Stark? Iron Man remained silent for a moment and said, is he ready to draw the design with his hands on paper? Isn't this very obvious? The American team and Thor are not very familiar with technology research. So they also don't understand why Iron Man is so alarmed. Absolutely impossible. Stark said, every step of making a rocket must have extremely strict requirements, and any mistake in one of these steps can lead to failure. I designed the first generation of steel armor with the help of computers, which enabled me to perform calculations with great precision. How could he possibly be a cat? Before Stark could finish speaking, Tom on the screen began to write vigorously. The overall model of the rocket was clearly presented on the paper, and he was drawing while writing calculation formulas and corresponding production steps. The most important thing is to pay attention to specific details, which are clearly marked by Tom. His movements flow smoothly and his drawings are particularly standard. There is no pause, smooth to the point of being infuriating. Stark's breathing was somewhat rapid. Jarvis, Jarvis. Jarvis's voice rang out. Dear Master, what are your instructions? Stark quickly said, can you quickly calculate whether the set of drawings he drew in the air is qualified or not? No problem, Master. Jarvis turned on the camera, quickly imported the image from the huge projection in the air into the computer, and then performed deduction calculations at the fastest speed. Stark looked nervously at the computer screen. Both Thor and the American team seemed to have realized the importance of the issue. They stood beside Stark together, with a strong expectation in their eyes. After about 3 seconds, Jarvis said, Dear Mr. Stark, based on my calculations, the rocket blueprint model he drew is not only feasible, but also extremely precise, even more advanced than ordinary rockets. Boom. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 008. The Irresistible Magic. Seeking fresh flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The atmosphere on site was quite solemn. Jarvis is Iron Man's proudest work. Iron Man never doubted his computing power, and there was no deviation in his calculations. But he never expected that Jarvis would give such an amazing answer. The rocket blueprint, designed in just half an hour, is incredibly precise to the point of perfect fit. The most important thing is even on the basis of the original rocket, improvements have been made. This is very scary. And when he was drawing rocket blueprints, he didn't use any tools at all. I only used a pen and a piece of paper. That is to say, his mind has long been familiar with the entire rocket model. You should know that any design drawing requires very high standards. Even a small detail can ruin the entire process. So it is necessary to use particularly rigorous tools. I paint very carefully and meticulously. Sometimes a blueprint can take several months. But he only used more than half an hour. The series of shocks and blows completely enveloped Iron Man. I am truly convinced now. Can anyone tell him what exactly is in the head of this cat? Strange world. The huge screen hanging in mid-air filled Old Master's heart with curiosity. He carried his hands behind him and shook his head, saying, "What's going on with this shiny thing in the sky?" Standing beside him, Lu Jin spread out his palm and said, "I'm not very sure, but it's said that this situation seems to have occurred all over the country. Almost everyone can see it." The Heavenly Master frowned and said, "Who on earth is the one who has such power? Can you see it all over the world?" Lu Jin replied, "Why don't I call and ask Zhang Chulan? That kid is out there and he might see more things." "Sure." The Old Master touched his beard with his hand. He said with some emotion, "I don't know which expert did it. Besides, I'm curious if that cat named Tom really exists." Old Master. Lu Jin shook his head and said, "A cat may have such intelligence, isn't that a joke?" Ding. Looking at Zhang Chulan in the sky above her, her phone suddenly rang. As soon as he connected, he heard the voice of the Heavenly Master. "Chulan." The Old Master coughed twice and said, "Tell me. What's going on with the screen hanging in the air? Is it some expert who specializes in?" Zhang Chulan grinned and shook her head, saying, "Old Master, aren't you having too many scenes? I think this should be similar to an animated film, right?" The Old Master shook his head, his expression quite serious. After a long time, he continued, "No, I can feel that things are definitely not that simple. The eerie fluorescent screen in the air contains an irresistible force, and I can clearly feel its terrifying oppression. The most important thing is..." He paused for a moment, and upon hearing it, Zhang Chulan said with curiosity in her eyes, "What is the most important thing?" Then the Heavenly Master continued, "The most important thing is that I can feel that force is very strong. I'm afraid I'm far from a match." Boom. Standing next to the Heavenly Master, Lu Jin was suddenly taken aback. He widened his eyes and stared straight at the Old Master. I was deeply shocked in my heart. He couldn't believe everything he had just heard. What kind of person is Old Master? It is truly a top-notch existence in the entire alien world. But he himself said that he was not a match for the expert behind him. How terrifying is this person's strength to imagine. Zhang Chulan over there also fell into silence. The eerie screen in the air is indeed quite bizarre. Jackie Chan world. Uncle Long. Xiaoyu stared blankly, her eyes full of amazement as she said, "I feel like this cat was drawn well. It shouldn't have been half an hour, right? With just one pen and no tools, you can easily draw rocket models. Very impressive." Dad supported his forehead and said, "Xiaoyu, what do you understand? His true prowess goes beyond that. I studied the rocket model he drew and found that it was at least several times more advanced than what we currently have. Dad has a wide range of knowledge. Not only has he made achievements in magic, but he has also studied a lot of related physics knowledge. So he could immediately determine at a glance, to what extent was that rocket blueprint so shrewd. Jackie Chan's expression became serious. "Dad." He hesitated for a moment and said, "I'm very worried now." "Where exactly is Tom's cat? What are you worried about?" Jackie Chan replied, "If you were to be found by Walloon and successfully persuade Tom to join them, it would be a huge threat to us." Dad was also stunned when he heard this. Jackie Chan's words just now make a lot of sense. This cat called Tom is extremely terrifying. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 009. Is simply terrifying. Seeking flower reviews. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Happy Grey World. The slow sheep standing at the entrance of the laboratory looked up at the dome, their eyes full of shock. He is also an inventor, naturally aware of how difficult it is to draw such a precise blueprint in a short period of time. Not only does he need to be smart enough, but he already has relevant drawings and models in his mind. More importantly, when painting, there should be no slight deviation, otherwise there will be significant omissions when making rockets. Causing rocket accidents. Slow Sheep sighed and said, "This cat named Tom is so amazing. I never thought that without any tools, I could draw blueprints to such an extent with my bare hands." Village Chief. Happy Sheep looked at Slow Sheep with curiosity in his eyes and said, "So, who do you think Tom is more powerful than you?" "Me." The village chief of Menyanjiang couldn't help but laugh. He supported his forehead with a bitter smile and said, "Even if I ride a few snails, I can't catch up with him." After drawing the blueprint, Tom proceeded to the next step of making the rocket, while Jerry stayed at the mouse hole, watching with anticipation. When making rockets, Tom was meticulous in every step and focused on every aspect of the work, working very seriously. When the sun rises, Tom has been doing it all along. By the time the moon rises and the neon lights shine brightly, Tom's rocket has already been completed. A beautiful and romantic world. Stark, standing in front of the French window, has forgotten to breathe. The scene presented before him made him feel too shocked. The word "awesome" is no longer enough to describe the entire process of Tom manufacturing the rocket. Quickly, accurately, and with extremely strong abilities. Each step refreshed his three perspectives and cognition. Stark used many core technologies in the first generation of steel armor, which had similarities with rockets. But with the help of several computers, he spent a full month or two researching before finally bringing out the first generation of steel armor. But look at Tom again lying trough. It really only took one day. More importantly, this cat named Tom is a real existence. He is not a virtual fabrication. This made Stark even more desperate. Once his Stark Tower was simply the core hub of technology around the world. Every update iteration of steel battle armor will bring a significant storm to the entire world science community. Stark also asked himself, no one can match him in this aspect. However, at the moment of meeting Tom, he was completely bewildered. "Don't worry about Stark." The American team approached him and patted his shoulder, saying, "This is just a cat. Even if he is really smart, he may not be able to develop steel armor like you. You can't make rockets, steel armor can be used for combat at any time, as for that thing. It's not too useful." Thor also waved his hammer in his hand. He said with a smile, "Even if technology cannot compete, shouldn't our other aspects crush this little cat? You shouldn't be like this." Stark didn't speak. After a long silence, he looked up and said, "Have you forgotten the title of the video just now? What does it mean?" Stark replied, "The name of the video says, The 7 Great Achievements of Tom Cat. The inventor is just one of his achievements." They looked at each other with astonishment in their eyes. One Punch World. Looking at Qiyu doing push-ups, Longzhuan's eyes lit up and he said, "Qiyu, come and take a look at this cat called Tom. It's so magical. He actually built a rocket in just one day, ready to go to the moon alone." The sweat on her forehead drips down, and Qiyu's muscles, like Mantu, keep rising, showing an extremely strong sense of strength. He panted heavily and didn't look back. "I think it's better to train hard," he said while doing push-ups. "I don't really care about scientific inventions or anything like that. I need to work hard at all times and strive to become stronger." The tornado lifted its head and said, "Don't worry, this cat is quite handsome. It is said that this is just one of his achievements. I don't know what other achievements he has made. What exactly is it?" Qiyu didn't speak. In his eyes, a strong physique can only be equal to everything. In the evening, the rocket was finally completed and Tom was very excited. He brought some food and sat on the manned rocket. As his good friend, Jerry must not be outdone and quietly followed behind him. Tom presses the ignition button, ready to start heading to the moon. A beautiful and romantic world. Jarvis. Jarvis. Stark, who saw this scene, appeared somewhat excited. He quickly said, quickly monitor the video in real time. I want to figure out how long it takes from rocket launch to going to the moon." Stark would never believe that someone could really study something as heavy as a rocket to near the speed of light. It only took a short day. If this is true, his mind will completely crush him. No. Saying it's crushing 2 words is simply too much praise for him, Stark. That's purely a flash sale. Tom ignited the rocket with a loud rumbling sound, and a dazzling light shot out from the tail of the rocket in the blink of an eye. Tom and Jerry rushed towards the moon. "Dear Mr. Stark, it only took about 1.5 seconds for the rocket to officially launch and reach the moon. The average speed is 250,000 km per hour, and Xiaoyu Expressway is around 40,000 km per hour at 300,000 km per hour. Boom boom. Thunder exploded in the air. The 3 Avengers in Stark Tower were filled with thick shock in their eyes. Even carrying a hint of shock. Are you really getting close to the speed of light? A cat develops a rocket every day, approaching the speed of light infinitely. Can there be anything more outrageous than this? This cat is so strong and terrifying. P.S. Tom, as an omniscient and versatile prodigy, will definitely appear one by one in his subsequent states, such as Muscular Tom, Superpower Tom, etc. His smart mind is just an insignificant advantage. By the way, I would like to request a flower evaluation ticket, a monthly pass, and a reward. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 010. The strongest creatures in the world. Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The speed of light, regardless of the universe, is the limit of technology. It is also a number that many top scientists, who have spent their entire lives, expended countless time and energy, all want to break through. But not to mention reaching the speed of light, even if you want to get close, it's as difficult as reaching the sky. The Stark Industrial Building is undoubtedly home to the most advanced, powerful, and even impressive cutting-edge technology in the current universe. The mind of Iron Man Stark is definitely at the top level of humanity. Otherwise, how can we leave behind the legend of gods on par with mortal bodies? But now he suddenly felt his pride, appearing so insignificant in front of a cat. This Nima is so fierce. Looking at the battered Stark, the US team doesn't know how to comfort him. After a long time, he stepped forward and patted Stark's shoulder, saying seriously, "Stark, you don't have to worry too much. What's the use of studying something at a fast speed? His combat skills cannot match yours." The Thunder God next to him also nodded and replied, "Not bad, not bad. The steel battle armor you have developed, but the only thing I admire is that your explosive combat skills are so strong that a cat cannot match them. Such praise and affirmation cannot comfort Stark at all. I really broke the defense. Strange world. It takes over a second to reach the moon. The voice of the Heavenly Master was trembling slightly. Even though he has been living in Longhu Mountain for a long time, he doesn't know much about the many changes and events at the foot of the mountain. But he is also very clear, what exactly is this concept? It can fully represent the highest level of current technology. Bulls are pushing to the limit. The scariest thing is that he is just a cat. Lu Jin's voice was trembling. Master Tian, do you think such a cat? Does it really exist? Such a terrifying mind is truly embarrassing. This is too powerful, isn't it? The cow is driving people to fear. The old master shook his head and said, I'm not sure. His expression clearly became more serious. I didn't expect him to really do it. Machine Beast World. How about Tyrannosaurus Rex? Looking up at the huge screen on the dome, Jingjing held her hands to her chest, her expression never before serious. She didn't look back and said, I was right about what I just told you, right? Do you think you can match this cat? The Tyrannosaurus Rex experienced an extremely strong sense of defeat. In the Third War of the Beast Clan, he was definitely a true king. The power of the Dragon Emperor's dimension is enormous, even if it is the Wild Star, working together with the Tiger King, he can definitely not be his opponent. But the cat that appeared in front of him posed a huge threat to the Tyrannosaurus Rex god. Thinking back on what Jingjing had said before made the dragon god even more shuddering. With such a clever mind, if the motorcycle enthusiasts were to be the first to find him and receive his help. At that time, it will bring catastrophic consequences to the entire beast race. Perhaps he doesn't have particularly strong abilities. But his intelligence is so great that he can invent rockets close to the speed of light. If given a few days, wouldn't the entire beast clan be completely destroyed? He's really strong. The Tyrannosaurus Rex sighed and said, so, we should take a step first, shouldn't we? You're right. Jingjing clenched her fist and said, quickly send out the purple dragon beast to find this cat named Tom. Be sure to bring him over quickly. Understood. Standing at the forefront of the energy city, Thunderbolt's eyes sparkle with a brighter luster. He glanced at Luo Luo next to him and said, shouldn't we also set off? You go tell the tornado the news. Luo Luo clenched his fist and said, let him lead people as soon as possible. We must find this cat named Tom and get his help. Perhaps his appearance can completely rewrite the situation between our beast race and motorcycle race. Understood. Thunderbolt nodded. We must not let the people of the beast race take the lead. Jiang Chen, lying on the sofa with a smile on his face, couldn't help but open the comment section. The content in the comments section is indeed similar to what he imagined. We still have to be Tom. When it comes to inventions and creations that can be compared to him, it's probably only Grey Wolf, right? No, no, no. I think besides Grey Wolf, there's another person who can also break Tom's wrist. Are you talking about having a strong bald head? Not bad, if these three come together, it's not an exaggeration to say they can rewrite the entire Earth. Rewriting the Earth, I underestimate them too much. It's a level that can completely restart the universe. Jiang Chen flipped over and looked at his bank card, and sure enough, there was another prompt message. As expected, another sum of money was received. After closing the comments section, he continued to browse the next video. At the same time, various worlds suspended above their heads, and the text on the screen also changed. Take a look at Tom's achievements, the strongest creature in the world. At the moment this message appeared, people from all over the world were completely bewildered. Many people showed a look of shock on their faces. A beautiful and romantic world. The US team looked at their muscles and a hint of dissatisfaction appeared in their eyes. The strongest creature in the world. The American team squinted and said, "It's actually a cat. I've never heard such a ridiculous joke before. P.S. Both Uncle Gray and Brother Qiang will appear, and they will definitely have a connection with Tom. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.